Chapter 17. Kyle got me in a headlock when I stepped off the bus. Guess what? He said. What? I'm wrestling. Obviously. Want me to wrestle back? No, I mean I'm on the team. You should try out. It's not too late. He clamped down tighter on my neck. I'll put in a good word with the coach. Not a chance. Some of Bobby's friends were wrestlers, and I saw what they went through making weight. It was pretty brutal. Sweating, starving, spitting into a cup for crying out loud. I mean, how much can spit weigh? And I definitely wasn't enjoying my current position as a human pretzel, especially since it put my nose way too close to Kyle's armpit. Well, you should go out for some sport, Kyle said. He let go of my head and stepped back. It's a good way to fit in. He had a point. It was pretty obvious that you got treated better if you were on a team, even a losing team. Except there wasn't anything I could go out for. Some kids were good at sports, some stunk, and some were right in the middle. That's where I was. I could shoot baskets okay when there was nobody in my face, but I was nowhere near good enough to play on a school team, even if I grew 6 inches. It would be wonderful to be good at something. I mean, I was a good reader, but that wasn't like being a good ball player. Actually, there was one thing I was really good at, being the youngest Hudson kid. I'd mastered the art, and now I was getting benched. After escaping Kyle's headlock, I found myself the subject of an eye lock. Lee kept glancing over in homeroom as if we shared some kind of secret. I felt like the guy you see in the beginning of just about every vampire movie, the first victim who gets stalked during the opening credits. I avoided her gaze by taking out my notebook and making a list. 7 reasons why Scott Hudson should not join the wrestling team. Number 1. I really have no desire to find out in person what my small intestine looks like from the inside. Number 2, I'd rather not have to learn to exist on a daily diet of 3 saltines and a Slim Jim. Number 3, most of my joints only bend in one direction, and I'd like to keep it that way. Number 4, I look ridiculous in tights. Number 5, 2 things get rubbed on the mat all the time. Butts and faces. This can't be good for my complexion. Number 6, there will without a doubt be some form of painful hazing for the new guys. Number 7, any activity that produces that much grunting should probably be performed in private. When we were leaving the room, Lee waited for me by the door. Well? Well, what? The poem. Like it? I didn't read it yet. You obviously have your priorities out of order. She shook her head as she spoke. I expected to hear a fair imitation of Christmas sleigh bells, but much to my surprise, this motion didn't produce any jangling from all the dangling pieces of metal. I guess. I slipped away. But I had the book in my backpack, so I read the poem in study hall. The title was The Jower. I didn't have any clue what that meant. Didn't matter. The poem was way beyond awesome, and way longer than I'd expected. It was more than 30 pages. The part Lee quoted was the best, but there were plenty of other amazing lines. I didn't understand a lot of it. It was around 200 years old, so some of the stuff Byron mentioned didn't mean a thing to me. Like, if I wrote about my favorite TV show, people 2 centuries from now might not have a clue what I was talking about. But it was still an amazing poem. November 22nd. Happy Thanksgiving, Smelly. I wonder whether you're currently as well developed as the average turkey. You're probably not as smart or as attractive. Thanksgiving is one of the best holidays because it's all about food. This time next year, you'll be sitting with us eating ground up turkey paste or whatever it is they feed kids who don't have a whole lot of teeth. The truth is, I'm not really looking forward to watching you eat. Then again, you can't be that much messier than Aunt Zelda, with or without teeth. Maybe the 2 of you can share a plate and a drop cloth. Dad and my uncles are watching football. Before we ate, they spent a lot of time in the garage, gazing at the vet and making guy sounds. Mom and my aunts are seated in the kitchen, exchanging stories about pregnancy and birth. From what I could tell, whoever experienced the greatest amount of pain for the longest period of time is the winner. None of my cousins came. They're all older. Bobby's up in his room taking a nap. They never did find him an apartment. Speaking of football, the last game is tomorrow. I'm glad it's over. Though I was actually starting to enjoy the games. I had sort of a ritual. I'd sit near the top so I could see everything. Not at the very top. That's where the tough guys hang out. Mouth went up there once, and they dangled him over the edge and shook him until his pockets were empty. At halftime, I'd get a cup of hot chocolate. I always drank it too soon and burned my mouth. That's another thing you need to know. Some foods are deadly. Maybe I should make a list for you. Scott Hudson's Guide to Lethally Hot Foods. Pizza. Watch out for the cheese. It will stick to anything. I've seen kids lose half a lip this way. Chicken pot pie. The crust keeps the heat in. The sauce is the most dangerous part. One bite can turn the roof of your mouth into shredded flesh. Blueberry pancakes. The great ambusher of food. Even when the pancakes seem cool, the berries are little heat bombs. The same warning applies to blueberry muffins. Fried ice cream. The oxymoron of the food world. It's ice cream that's coated in some kind of stuff and then quickly fried. I know what you're thinking. How can it be dangerous? That's what I thought too. The first mouthful I ever tried burned my tongue so badly I couldn't taste anything for a week. Hot chocolate. Magically, no matter how long you wait and how much you blow on it, when you take that first sip, it's always just hot enough to scorch your mouth. There was nothing to be thankful for on the football field that Friday. We played South Wellnerton, our traditional Thanksgiving rivals, though rival might not quite be the word, considering they beat us 108-3. The scoreboard didn't even go up that high. Maybe executioner would be a better choice. I had an extra day to write my article. We always got the Monday after Thanksgiving off. It was the first day of deer season. I wasn't sure if they did this so that the kids could hunt, or because they were afraid some nearsighted hunters would take a shot at a school bus. Either way, I was happy to have a nice quiet day to hang out, read, and eat turkey sandwiches. Tuesday, on the way out of homeroom, I gave the book back to Lee. She'd gelled her hair into tons of tiny spikes, which made her head look like some sort of dangerous green vegetable of the sort that was always trying to kill Mario, the Mario brothers. Like the poem? She asked. Yeah, thanks. Wasn't it cool where I gotta go. I hurried off. I was halfway down the hall before I realized why things felt so uncomfortably familiar. This was just like in the hospital, when Toby wanted to talk about his books, and I didn't want to pay attention. Back then, I at least had the excuse that I wasn't much of a reader. This time, I didn't have any excuse at all. I loved spooky stuff. I turned around, but Lee was gone. I wish she'd never loaned me the book. When people do favors for you, life gets complicated. That's why I hadn't asked Mouth if I could write a review. But maybe Mandy would suggest it herself. There was a newspaper meeting tomorrow. With football over, I figured she'd let me do something fun.